Oop, there they go. That's right. We don't see them.
Correct. You don't see them, but they're coming in right now. You have about 90 participants. Now you're at
All right.
100.
Just gonna look. All right, we're going to get started. Good evening, Ridgecrest, Miralest, and PVIS families, and welcome to the Intermediate School Town Hall. I thank you guys all for coming. I really want to thank my panelists here more than anything, who I brought in when there was an interest, and I wanted to make sure that they were included in this conversation. So let me introduce them really fast. We have here, as I mentioned, our principal from Miralest, Mr. Califano. Principal from PVIS, Mr. Farrell. Our Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services, Mrs. Brenna Tarones. And our COVID Compliance Specialist, Sydney Snyder. And my Assistant Principal, Danny Barber, will be moderating the questions online right now, so he'll take care of me for that. And Lindsay Katanda, Dr. Katanda is not here. It's Trista Ramirez who's helping us out with the actual webinar itself. So thank you, Trista, for helping us out there. We're going to do a few housekeeping points for you as we're jumping into this meeting. This is a webinar, so we have disabled the chat and raised hand functions for this meeting. You have a Q&A function. We know you're going to have questions. We're hoping throughout this presentation your questions will be answered. That's what Mr. Barba is here for, is to kind of basically moderate and keep the questions that we still need to address. But feel free to use the Q&A function throughout the presentation as we go through it, and we'll try to address your questions that we didn't answer at the very end. But with that, we're going to jump right into it. And once again, thank you for coming. Our goal here is to really just give any of you that are still uneasy about bringing your kids to school some confidence that we have this covered. We're going to do the absolute best we can to make sure that your kids are safe, our faculty and the staff are safe, and more than anything, that we can stay open for the entire year. That's our goal. We want to stay open, and so we're putting things in place that are important so that we can stay open. So with that, let's jump into it. Our agenda, we're going to go over green screen expectations, talk a little bit about masks, lockers, PE and locker rooms, our lunchtime, cleaning of campus, contact tracing and what that looks like, and the PPE in the classrooms that are available to you. So jumping right into it. We still have families that don't know what the green screen process is. And understand this, we still need to follow expectations from the LA County Department of Public Health, as well as OSHA guidelines with respect to checking to make sure that every kid coming onto campus has been screened before coming onto campus. So we have a green screen process, and you should be well versed in that green screen if you're from this school district, because you've been doing it since a year and a half ago. But with that, understand that we have you, before you enter campus, do a green screen process and ask the questions that you need to ask every single day of your kids. So this presentation will be shared on each of our websites, and you can access these and you can use these files for your convenience, but I'm going to click on them while we're here. And the COVID screening tool takes you to a QR code that you can actually download those questions and print those out and ask those questions every single time. Okay, so click on that link from this presentation.
Mr. Mancia.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make you aware that you're not sharing your presentation right now. So if you were hoping to, you need to reshare your presentation so that your participants can see it.
Thank you.
No problem. Sorry to interrupt.
You guys waited a long time to tell me that. All right, back to this. I'm going to go back from the beginning. There's the people that we have present. Let's go and review our agenda. You guys can see what we're reviewing. Sorry about that, everybody, and thanks, Trista. All right, now going back to where we were. Green screen expectations. As I mentioned, we at every single site will require that your students show a green screen demonstrating that they are clear to come to school and enter the campus every single day. And so there is a link from this presentation, and that link right here, this live link, will take you to a scan sheet. You can use this QR code to take you to the website, to take you to those questions that you need to go over every single day with your child, okay? You conduct that screening every single morning before coming to school. Now, there's different ways that you can present that to us. If your child has a cell phone, your child can show the cell phone to us, and the green screen is on the cell phone. You can show us your green screen from your cell phone from your car. You're going to stay in your car, however. And then the last option I'm actually going to show you guys is something that might be more convenient for all of you guys. Here we have a laminated card with a green piece of paper on it, and on the back side, the questions that you would be asked from that screening tool. And what I would recommend you do is laminate this, use it throughout the year. Every morning, ask your kid these questions so that they understand what these questions are and what we're asking of them. And on the other side, on the green side, with a dry erase marker, if they are coming to school, put the date, put the time, and leave that on your dashboard as you pull up. If your child is walking to school, they can put this in their backpack with a timestamp with a dry erase marker, so they walk onto campus and show one of us this green screen so they walk onto campus and it's not a problem, okay? That's hugely important. If you guys don't have a laminator or don't have access to a laminator, you guys can use a plastic sleeve and stick those documents inside and just bring that so you can use it every single time and use the dry erase marker on that as well. So there's a handy dandy tip for you guys to use. Understand this though, we have at every single one of our sites certain points of entry so that every single kid, for me, 870 kids are going to be checked every single day, showing that they are safe to come to school. And so does Mr. Califano, and so does Mr. Farrell. So I'm going to show you this because once again, you're going to be able to access this presentation. If you go to this website and click on MIS, it'll take you to the map of his school, and he'll be able to show you where the points of entry are for Merrill Est. Okay. If you click on PVIS, here's the map of PVIS. And as you can see on his map, he has arrows as well, showing where the drop-off is and where they are going to be checking out all the students that are coming onto campus. And then finally, Ridgecrest, there are 4 different points of entry. This is the front of the school, so there's 3 here and then 2 more. So 5 points of entry on this campus that you can enter the school, and there will be staff there checking your green screen. But it's imperative that all of you do the green screen every day. And I'll share this with you. This is our one area that we need to work together. I've had students come onto campus and show me their green screen, and it's timestamped from like 3 weeks ago. And what did that tell me? That tells me that you basically aren't going through this process and asking the questions that are important that we need to answer every single day. All right. So it's just a good faith that we know you're doing your part to make sure you're sending your kid to school safe, and you've done those questions, and the teachers are going to feel good that you guys are sending your kids safe. So keep that in mind. Frank, Micah, you guys have anything to add?
The only other tip, if I may jump in real quick, is that I've been telling a lot of my parents to, if they use their phones, to bookmark it on their internet search. It makes the process a little bit faster. And if you haven't done it before, doing it while you're in line to drop your kids off is always a difficult time with Wi-Fi and with lack of Wi-Fi and cellular signal while you're waiting in line. And if you have 100 parents trying to get on the Wi-Fi at the same time, it definitely is going to slow things up. So try to take care of it before you get to school.
I agree. And you know, when we first reopened last March, this process took some time in the first couple of days, but then everybody got the hang of it. And for those of you who are Merrill Est parents and have a history here, you know our Wi-Fi is not very good. So people were doing it before they even got into the car, and basically driving up, showing the green screen, hopping out, and the process became much quicker after everybody got the hang of it.
And that's why this is even better, because you got the questions and you have this. It's lo-fi, it's low tech. You don't have to worry about whether your Wi-Fi is working. You answer these questions already. You put the timestamp on, and you show up to school with this, and you don't have to worry about whether it's going to be live or not.
And that also works for kids who do not have cell phones.
Exactly.
We had quite a few kids, especially 6th graders, who do not have cell phones, which I'm completely in agreement with. And those laminated cards basically took the place of that, and it worked well.
Yeah, it makes it go much faster. All right, talking about masks. As of right now, masks will be worn on campus all the time. Now, we are allowing for students to request mask breaks from their teachers, and teachers understand this. During PE, masks will also be worn. They will provide extra masks for students who are going to be sweaty in their masks, and they can always get an extra one. We're asking our teachers to be really mindful, especially during the hot months, to be mindful of strenuous activity. And even during PE, if the students are running, for example, or doing a mile and need to take a break and take their mask down, they can do so. But as of right now, once again, this is one of those things that we're navigating every day, but the rules change every single day. But right now, we're sticking with keeping the masks on at all times. Frank, Micah, anything? Okay.
Nope.
Actually, I would like to add to masks. So just for the families out there that have been following the superintendent's committees, we do have our medical professional committee. This topic was definitely discussed, and we had basically consensus amongst all the doctors that this would be the best recommendation going into the school year, just to be cautious. As they mentioned, we have extra masks. We've been very fortunate and have a good relationship with the California Office of Emergency Services. So those will be available on campus. They will be available in the classroom. Your student just has to ask if they would like to change their mask to get one.
Perfect. Thank you. Lockers and PE locker rooms. I know that we fielded a lot of questions and emails about this as well. Our lockers, our book lockers, are going to be available and open this year, unlike last year. So we're opening those back up. Students will have their locks and get an opportunity to open them. And same thing for PE lockers, because we're going to have PE and lock PE, and kids will change out. For all three sites, we just have a different policy. For my school, I'm allowing students to choose if they feel uneasy about using their lockers or being in the area where the whole bunch of students using their lockers at the same time, they can choose to just keep their stuff in their backpack and go into classrooms with their backpack. That's not always the case at our school. This is something that we're doing this year, because of the particular situation, that we're allowing students to bring backpacks into the locker or into their classrooms, but they also could use their lockers, and that's their choice. Micah?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mencia. We're giving kids a choice if they want to use both. That is also okay at PBIS. I think that at least at PBIS, you're gonna see kids bringing their device more frequently than we have in previous years. A lot of our textbooks most of our textbooks in fact are virtual online textbook versions now. So if parents want to allow their students, they feel they're comfortable with allowing them to bring a laptop or a Chromebook device to school and they've signed off, the backpack becomes even more essential at that point. So we're going with the student choice there, and both options will be good to use for our kids.
At Maryland, it's a little bit different, and I'll explain. First and foremost, our lockers are large, so they're able to fit their entire backpack into the locker, even full of books. Unfortunately, our classrooms aren't the same. And even when we only had half the number of students when we started in March, bringing backpacks into the room caused traffic jams on the floor, and we had kids tripping and so on. So our preference is kids bring backpacks to school, bring all their needs, but they store them in their lockers. Now, as far as devices go, we're in really good shape as far as Chromebooks. My thought is every teacher in our school is probably going to have a Chromebook cart available to them in their classroom, no matter what subject they teach. So as far as kids bringing their own devices to school, not really necessary this year at Merrill West. We'll be able to give them a Chromebook whenever they're needed one. And if they have a teacher who doesn't have a Chromebook cart, they can actually check out a Chromebook in the morning, turn it in the afternoon. So I think we're in really good shape as far as the technology piece. I prefer to have backpacks in lockers just because I don't want kids tripping. So we're gonna ask that no backpacks in classrooms. They can store backpacks in their lockers.
And just a quick thing for Ridgecrest, at least for PE, yes, they are dressing out for PE. That is one of those where they should be using their lockers. I've asked my PE teachers to do their best that by period, they're going to spread the students out. So students won't be right next to each other changing, and their lockers won't be right next to each other per period. So there should be spaced out a little bit more for PE. Anything else, guys?
No, we're following suit there too. We're going to stagger locker room use by grade level. And Miraless, Mr. Califano there probably has a large locker room, being a former high school too.
Yeah, we do. Our locker rooms are huge. We should be able to space kids out, no problem at all.
Perfect.
We have portables on the other side of the hill.
Yeah, ours are small. All right, lunchtime. We were just discussing this before this meeting. We're spreading them out for lunch. We're basically going to have for us at Ridgecrest, we have a 6th grade eating area, a 7th grade eating area, and an 8th grade eating area, so that they aren't all packed into one general area. They're able to remove their masks while they're eating. We're encouraging them to keep their distance while eating, but as I've shared with Ridgecrest families, we understand that kids are just dying to be together, dying to be close to each other and want to talk to each other. And so they're so close. And so the thing that always worries me is that they're so close without their masks, 6th graders and other families not vaccinated. And I just want to keep them safe. So I'm encouraging them to keep their distance as much as possible while they're eating, and then put their masks on as soon as they're finished. Micah, Frank, anything?
We used the designated areas in March, and I really liked it. I mean, it basically separated 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they stayed in their area because we didn't open the blacktop last year, which was what we're going to do this year. The one thing I need your help, parents, is I think this was the most difficult time for me as a principal, because it's tough keeping kids away from each other, especially 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They like to hug each other. They like to push each other. They like to grab each other. And, it was a constant, please keep your hands to yourself. Please keep your mask on. Those are the kind of things that parents could really help us with, because it's almost impossible to maintain at times. It really is like herding cats sometimes. But yeah, masks off while eating. Down on the blacktop, we're going to ask them to keep masks on, but we'll talk about that a little later.
All right. Micah, anything? You good?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Talking a little bit about how our campus is cleaned. Just so you know, our campuses are cleaned daily. Our bathrooms and commonly touched areas sanitized twice a day, and then our classrooms are sprayed weekly. Okay. Our main focus with our teachers, and I want this to be, as Frank was saying, and Mr. Califano was saying, with respect to your support, we're trying to emphasize this with students. These are student-driven practices that they sanitize often, bring their own sanitizer so they're not relying on the one that everybody's using, bring their own sanitizer, go into every single class with hand sanitized, and then the spraying of the classroom is not as important because everybody's going in there sanitized already, okay? But they are being sanitized and sprayed weekly. And it's generally the same, all 3 schools. Every single classroom has hand sanitizer machines, and so they have access to it. But we encourage your kids to also be diligent about that as well. PPE in classrooms, as I just mentioned, we do have the sanitizers in every single classroom, and as well as in every building. Desk shields are optional per teacher and student discretion. So I know, for example, my science teachers got rid of the desk shields as soon as they could because of the setup of the classroom. Other teachers want them on. And we also respect the fact that we might have some students that want a desk shield for their class. That's where teacher and student can discuss what that looks like, and they can have one on their desk in their classroom. Students are encouraged to bring, I encourage students to bring their own hand sanitizer and wipes for their choice, but there is enough PPE for all classrooms every day. So it's not necessary, but I encourage it. And we'll just say, as you already know, if you're reading up on everything with respect to COVID-19, the surface transmission of COVID is not likely, and it's even less likely if everybody's sanitizing before they enter the classroom. We have air purifiers in every single classroom. And once again, I'm speaking for all 3 schools. And classroom doors are kept open for ventilation. So we've done all the practices possible to reduce or eliminate transmission on our campuses as much as possible. Anything else, guys?
Nope. Thank you.
All right. So this is a graphic for you guys to review. I don't want to go too far into it. This is what happens in the case of a situation if your child does get is in contact with a positive case, or if there's a positive case on campus. Like I said, you can review that later on, but it talks about what happens if you're vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Every one of us have had an experience already of some sort, and fortunately, with more students vaccinated, it's making it a little bit easier, and it's a little bit less scary with respect to what happens in the classroom as far as the protocols that we follow through. Brenna, do you want to add anything? Or Cindy?
So, yeah. So as we encounter, and we will identify, and folks will report that we do have a positive case on campus, whether staff or students, I need everybody just to kind of be patient and understand that everybody does have the right to privacy. So at no time would we ever disclose, or will we be disclosing, who that original case is on campus. With that, there will be seating charts in each classroom. So as we identify that, we will be going through seating charts to try, and also interviewing the person if possible, to establish what close contacts are. And then we go through a process with public health. I want to let you all know, on the district website, we actually do have posted for families to see the line list data dictionary. What happens is there's certain questions that are required that we will ask of you. In those questions that are required, you do have the right to decline an answer, and we will just note it as such when we're filling out the contact line list and submitting that to public health. Depending on the number of close contacts, the size of it, public health has been interactive with working with us and working with the families of those or employees that are identified on that. But just so that you understand kind of the list of the questions that you would potentially be asked, either as a positive case and or somebody that's a close contact, I just don't want you to be surprised as to why so many questions. This is defined by public health. It's part of our exposure management and containment plans, which aligns with the LA County Department of Public Health requirements that are currently posted. Those protocols I mentioned with LA County Department of Public Health, so that you do not have to navigate that site. We have been posting them now on our district website under protocols, so you can go there to review them.
So on the second slide, you have two links that we're leaving for you guys. One of them takes you to the district website, and up here in the right-hand corner, you have COVID-19, a drop down with lots of information, lots of resources for you. And there's also the screening tool that I already showed you the QR code for. And then on the second one, if it comes that you do need to test or are considering getting tested, or there's a registration for the testing that we have available on the 3 sites here in PV. And that'll take you to the opportunity to register to get tested. Okay. Anything else you wish to add, Cindy, to this slide, or for Brenna? Okay. All right, folks. Yes, it was a lot quicker than you might have thought. I told these guys I'm going to keep it quick, make sure we cover everything, and I believe we covered as much as we possibly can. We do have some questions. Danny, you wish to share any of the questions that we haven't answered?
Yes. One question, can you please explain the procedure for handling parents and students that refuse to wear masks on campus, especially given the fact that our own school board set the example of letting unmasked parents into a school board meeting?
All right, thanks for asking that question. Understand this, if a student refuses to wear a mask, we will have them come up to the office. We will provide a mask for him. If he continues to not wear a mask, we will call parents and ask them to take him home. And we will discuss what we can do to provide instruction for that student from that point on. And then we'll also take a look at what other procedures we have to do to make sure that that student can access school with respect to future days if it continues to be that he refuses to wear a mask.
Thanks, Mr. Mancia. Next question, who are the doctors on the panel that decided on how to make recommendations for our students? So I guess the question ultimately is how can people know who are on the medical panel?
Brenda, do you have that information?
I believe it is posted online who's part of the superintendent's committees. I can check on that and we can follow up with that and send it out, but it is listed. They have actively participated in several of our, online webinars and town halls that we've been having. And it is a large group and the opinions vary, but consensus is usually, something that we strive for. And this was definitely a topic that was covered for about 2 hours.
Thanks, Brenna. Next question would be, if a child is forced to quarantine, how could they access instruction in the classroom?
Great question. At Ridgecrest, I've already made it a point to share or ask teachers to continue to use Teams, which is our LMS or learning management system platform. So I'm asking teachers to make sure that they provide all assignments via Teams to all students at any time, because we realize that students might get sent home at any given time. With respect to live instruction, they wouldn't have access to that. But the nice thing about Teams, and I believe the same thing for Google, is Google Classroom, is students can reach their teachers via chat at any time. And teachers have been great about answering their students.
I agree. I think one of the good things, if there's any good thing that have come out from all of this, are the various platforms that our teachers have become very, very, they're such useful platforms that information is easily transmitted to kids. So in the past, it was just an independent study program and kids would have to email teachers, would have to try to get their various assignments from different places. This platform allows them to get their assignments from one place. So if there's anything good, it's the platforms that everybody's getting pretty much used to using.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. The communication through our Teams and Google platforms is also seamless, and there's oftentimes options or availability for students to ask questions in real time. So and teachers are really responsible about monitoring that, their different Teams or Google pages. So.
Thanks, principals. Next question. If one child does not pass the green screen, what does that mean for any other siblings that are in the household?
Great question.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead if you guys want.
No, Brenna.
Yeah,
It's a contact of a contact, though, I think.
So,
I would be calling you about this one anyway, so go ahead, Brenna.
depending on what question you responded to that resulted in the red screen to not bring that particular student to school, that student would stay home. I will tell you though, chances are if you answered one of the ones like you are a close contact already awaiting a test result, or either you're a close contact and you're having to quarantine, so you're saying yes, or a variety of the other ones with regards to close contact, those would pretty much apply to everybody in the household to where then everybody was quarantining together.
Right.
However, say one of your 3 children have a runny nose, symptoms that are consistent with COVID-19, you're a little unsure, is it allergies, is it a cold, is it maybe COVID, who knows? You kind of are going to make that choice of where you're going to go from there. So we are going to have testing sites available. They are optional. You're more than welcome to test multiple times during the week at any of the different sites. There is, no limit really. I just need you to know that they are rapid tests. They're Binax now, so they're about 65% accurate. They're similar to a home pregnancy test. So you would have the option if, they're symptomatic, but chances are if they're symptomatic, you really do want to seek medical advice from your primary care physician, urgent care, or a clinic and kind of see what you should be doing. We're kind of doing more asymptomatic. You're wanting to check things out. Obviously, there is that, state order, which we're all starting to try to figure out as we go into mid-October. But testing is available. I do encourage you, though, if you're symptomatic to do that. But your other 2 kids can come to school if they've passed all the green screen questions and that one question that possibly didn't trigger for that particular student. It's just the one out of the 3. If you do, though, get a positive test, that would apply to your whole household because they would be close contacts. And then we're going to have to look at several things now, right? So do they have a vaccine? Do they not have a vaccine? Are they even age eligible? So there's going to be a kind of a scaffolded approach to how we would be working with your family to address those situations. Hope that answered it.
Thanks, Brenna. This will be another good one for you. Do the classrooms have air filtration systems?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
class.
So there's actually bypass air that's going through them. Most of the district was upgraded to MERV 13 air filters. Some are MERV 10 simply because it is the highest capacity we can reach with that particular unit. And then, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, we have portable air filters that are all HEPA MERV like rated for like medical grade. We actually worked with our medical professionals team, subcommittee though, not committee at large, to look at some of the different options that were available. And those are what are in the classrooms with all of your children.
Thanks, Brenna. Let's see. They're coming in like wild, so pardon me. I don't know if you would know this, Brenna, at all, but the data used for the medical panel to rely on the decision-making process and beyond using LA County Department of Public Health guidelines. Is there anything else that was considered?
Can you repeat the question? Because I'm trying to figure out what.
Sure. I probably didn't, I'm trying to paraphrase here, but what did the medical panel use? What data did they use to rely on their decision-making beyond LA County Department of Public Health?
Okay, so I think at this point, again, it's a group of our medical professionals that are providing advice and guidance to the board and to the district. And I think this is pretty much at this point, the district and with the support of the doctors and the advice that they're given to make these decisions.
Awesome, thank you. There's some other information related to classes and those sorts of things.
Teachers are required to wear masks during school hours, absolutely.
Yeah, and then options, if a student does not want to wear a mask, are there other options that a student might be able to wear as PPE rather than the mask?
So the only thing, well, there are going to be medical exemptions that will be coming from our special education department, and they will be working with the students and the families on those. To the extent that that can't be tolerated and like you don't want to do the mask, you can do the face shield, which then has a drape at the bottom and then basically acts as an enclosure to where you do have a little bit more freedom with the face shield and a drape. But again, we would be working with you for those different exemptions from the mask.
Thanks, Brenna. Regarding students that have to quarantine, students that are absent, what is the best way for them to access the classroom material? And also, will there be any live streaming or Zoom taking place?
Now, as we mentioned, their access to material is through our LMS platforms for PBIS and Ridgecrest. It's Teams, and for Merrill Est, I believe it is still Google Classroom. We won't be doing any live streaming or live instruction. I'm sorry, online instruction at this time.
I saw one of the questions, just to clarify, one of the parents had asked, and it's something that I know that we all work hard to streamline as well, about multiple platforms. That if you think of the learning management system or the Teams or Google as kind of the hub for everything, that's where your first stop should be as a parent. That has assignments and calendar. That's your contact to the teacher. Within classes, though, as I mentioned previously, a lot of our textbooks are online, and students are having to access the online textbook, which may appear as another platform, and in many ways it is, but we just have the one platform. But remember that they have multiple online books that they're using that sometimes also have, like, workbooks, kind of a thing online as well. So
Danny, in the interest of time, I'm going to share this. I've looked through the questions. Many of those questions are school specific that we can answer, and you can send an email to us, the three principals, specifically related to what happens at Ridgecrest in particular about dance class or something like that. That's our main focus for this presentation, is to really make sure that you guys understand what we're doing as you bring your kids here, what we're expecting your kids to do, what we ask you to do to support your kids and to support us to stay open. And so hopefully we've given you enough information so you feel safe bringing your kids here. And once again, if you have any other questions beyond that, please email us with respect to specific things about our school and how we can support you so you can bring your kid here. Okay. With that, I'm going to conclude this meeting. We have this meeting recorded, so if you wish to share this, you can go to the websites, go to our individual websites and take a look at and upload the presentation and hopefully get your questions answered there. And other people that missed it could also catch this. With that, any other comments, panel?
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Appreciate it. I know these are difficult and confusing times, I think, for us all. Things are changing daily. So by the time we start next week, we might even have new guidelines in place. But I promise you, we're going to do our very best to take care of you kids and make it as good of an experience as we possibly can. So thank you again for coming tonight. It's truly appreciated. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I echo everything that said. We're leading with health and safety of our kids, and we appreciate all of our parents working together with us as a team. And we want to keep our schools open and kids in school, because that's what we believe is the best place for them.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Good night.